Very good afternoon. No summer's high, no warm July, no harvest moon to light. One tender August night, no autumn breeze. No falling leaves, not even for birds to fly to southern skies. These wonderful lines were written by Stevie Wonder in his famous song, I believe you all know. Just like Stevie Wonder lost his eyesight, we have plenty of people who suffered from disability, either mental or physical. Well, the list is endless. We have got Sylvester Stallone, we know Beethoven, who lost his hearing capacity, and Stephen William Hawking, who quoted, "Look up to the stars, not down to your feet." Helen Keller, obviously. These dignitaries, these luminaries have fought with the mental, physical disabilities and they have been able to overcome. In order to know more on this type of disability which people are suffering, we from Asian College of Teachers would like to welcome all of you to this special event of us. Joining with us today, we have a special guest speaker. She is educated from University of Northampton, UK. She is both a MA and a B.Ed from the University of Calcutta. She is a certified in clinical psychology from Malaysian University of Science and Technology, and she is indeed carrying an experience of more than 19 years in the area of special education. A very warm welcome to Ms. Papia Banerjee, a very special guest to Asian College of Teachers. Welcome, Ms. Banerjee.
Thank you, Shona. Thank you for inviting me. Uh, I have a long association with Asian College of Teachers. When I had started back many years ago, I would rather say around 2002 or 3. So I also had done a few courses from here, and I'm well connected with Asian College of Teachers. It's good to be back here talking to you all. And as you said, uh, thank you so much. And as you begin with a wonderful verses from one of the poetry, I would just like to talk here. That's not the end. There is another verse we can just add there for the children with special educational needs. Is that look up to the sky? The sky is your limit.
Yes. Definitely. So I would just like to ask you, Ms. Banerjee, that as because we know that these children and these personalities have really, fought with either way, either mental or, physical disabilities, problems. So I would just like to ask you that special educators, or this kind of terms that we generally use, who are special educators and what is their background? I think that would be a pertinent question which the audience would also like to understand.
Right. Before I tell you who are special educators and what should be their background, I will right now ask a question to you, Shauna. And just before that, you just said to me right now is that as these people have fought with their disabilities, right, and they have come up, touched different areas of the profession, and they have done so fair, they did so well, and they have etched their name, in all our lives. Um, Similarly, Shaunak, you must have also had a very good teacher, right? Whom you can also remember from your childhood days. So,
Yes.
a special educator is no one, just a very good teacher. The best teacher for a child is a special educator. And anybody can be a special educator. And I think we all teachers have to have that quality of being a special educator, of touching lives to these children whom we are working with. Now, categorically coming to the specialization of this particular profession within the education industry, special education is assisting children with some kind of a challenges, and this challenge could be anything. It could be learning need, it could be physical need, it could be lifestyle need, or it could be the mental need of the child, and helping the child to overcome the challenge and support the child in his or her academic journey. So that is the special education or special educators, whoever you call them. And what is their background? Of course, they should be trained. They should be well trained to understand what is special education and how they can support these children. So that is.
Absolutely. And that is why I think that we from Asian College of Teachers, we have a tag name that teach and touch lives. And that is how
Absolutely.
I think we are starting up like touching the lives. Thank you. Like that is wonderful. That is really a, insightful answer. As you know that we from Asian College of Teachers are doing and are continuing and planning to do this type of courses. So just for the information that we are having a teachers webinar which is conducted with Dr. Margaret Wong, who will be joining us on the 16th of July, just a week ahead. So we will be conducting this type of programs.
That's
Ms. Manager, I would also like to ask you is that often we come across this type of question that is there any specific or typical certificate or any degree that is required? I understand what you rightly told that special educators need to have that kind of a flavor in order to deal with it. It can be anybody. What would be your views that any kind of a degree that is required for special educators?
so obviously, to understand a child, you need to have a well training of the what are these needs or what are these intellectual disabilities or multiple disabilities, whatever it is, the challenges of the child. So definitely, whoever is interested in this profession has to undergo these specific qualifications. Well, in India and abroad, there are multiple universities and institutions who are providing such qualifications, which could be a postgraduate certification course, which could be diploma course, which could be a master's, which could be under bachelor's, and which can also go up to the research-oriented degrees also. And these courses are definitely needed because special education itself is a huge spectrum. Okay, so what you see in one child or a difficulty in one child will not be same with the other child. So until unless the teachers are well educated or whoever is the facilitator understands this well, the teacher cannot work with the specified intervention that is required for the child. So, background knowledge is definitely required, but I would rather say it should not only be a theoretical knowledge, it should also be an application based knowledge. So, both should be merging together to make an effective special educator.
Okay, so what I can understand is that certificates will be required like postgraduate, masters, or bachelors. But what is more required would be the adaptability capacity, because as you
Yes.
rightly pointed out, that each student is different, and we are dealing with sensitive. I would
Correct.
also like to make a point over there. We often heard the word like who is a shadow teacher. So,
Mhm.
and I see that we are getting inquiries and the students are asking specifically on special educator and a shadow teacher. So,
Okay.
can you throw some light what type of
Right. So, as I said, a special educator is an educator who understands the various needs of the child. The teacher is well qualified to undertake a group of children. Okay, so a special educator can work one to one, or a special educator can be working in a department with other set of special educators, and they can handle the children. While a shadow teacher is a teacher who is technically working one to one as a support teacher in the classroom situation, okay, in a school. Okay? And sometimes the shadow teacher can also work outside the school, depending upon the dynamics of the country, the local laws, whether it is allowed, whether the school gives the permission or not. And they can work with the children in the evening support as well. But whether it is a shadow teacher or whether it is a special needs teacher, what I feel with my set of experiences, these teachers should be qualified. It's not that like I am a housewife and I don't have any job, so let me just go and just help a child in school. That would be a bad choice made. Sometimes these shadow teachers are paid by the parents, okay, to help their children in the in-school learning. But then they usually the parents think, anybody can teach. Let me get a college girl, and as a part timer, she can do this job. So I think that is a wrong decision because it won't help the child anyway. Because we have to understand whether it's a shadow teacher or a special needs teacher, we are working for the child. And definitely that understanding should be there. The background knowledge of special education should be there so that um, you get the final outcome, the learning outcome. Or else it would be just dragging on with the child, and there wouldn't be any kind of a real positive outlook. So
Right. I think that the most important thing which you pointed out is that it should not be just an alternative to anything. It
yeah,
should be focused, directed, and it should be people should have a proper qualification. I think that you are trying to point out is that although it is a passion in order to deal with special people, with passion, it should be coupled with a proper education. And then only, like as you pointed out rightly, that just a housewife sitting at home, it cannot be just an alternative kind of a thing. I would just like to talk point what you rightly told just before that, that like practical education should be coupled with the theoretical part. And indeed, Asian College of Teachers all across India, we have internship programs across Mumbai, Calcutta, Delhi, Chennai, and Hyderabad, where we are trying to make our special education workshop as well as online training along with the type of practical classes or at least the observation part which is required, which we are doing. I think that you would agree. I would just like to have one specific point because you have rightly pointed that in this world when everything is currently moving online, like even you are sitting in Bangalore, we are in Calcutta, so we are doing an online kind of a live session. What would be the role specifically for a shadow teacher if I consider as a special educator, coupled with the current online trend which is following? I would like to have your views because you have worked for years into the international market. I think that would be
so
light
right.
on
So
that.
here, let me just give you an example of how we are working out here in the online setup. So our company is basically we are into the teaching part. Okay, and our teachers, we are training our teachers to work on the online version of teaching students with special educational needs. Now, in this a role of a special educator, it becomes more challenging on the virtual platform because when you are in school, so you are technically able to handhold the child, work with the child using the manipulatives, using the different kind of showing them the toys, the working method, and you're able to stimulate the child in the tactile way, what we say. But when we are working in the virtual method, there is no tactile way, it's only visual. All right. So
Absolutely.
here, the teacher's job is double. Okay. But again, I would like to say, again, I'm going back to your first question, what is special education? Special education is nothing, it's just supporting the learner, learning, supporting the learner who have difficulty in a general learning environment. Okay. So whether it's a shadow teacher or special educator, everybody needs to work together with the regular class teacher to help the child in a special education, with to help the child with who has a special education needs. Now, Shanik, you must be knowing that we all keep on saying these words, inclusive education, 21st century inclusivity. Inclusivity is a must. So, what is inclusion? Inclusion is nothing when you are helping a child learn, a child with special needs learn in a general classroom. And that can only happen when the class teacher and the shadow teacher or the special educator are working together. Okay, so here in virtual world, it will be much. If you really want to make a difference in inclusivity, then there should be a very good coordination between these two teachers. So here, when I say coordination, that means probably the class teachers or the subject teachers have to share their lesson plan, the worksheets a day before to that particular special needs teacher, so that the special needs teacher can work with the child beforehand and make him ready to sit in the classroom, or have to tailor make certain aspects of that, whatever is the in class, whatever is the worksheet or the classwork or the assignment, so that the child gets interested in working. Because in the virtual classroom setup, and this is what we have finding, we have come up with many complaints also from many parents in our company, that they were saying that our children are lost in that 21, 25 faces popping on the virtual classroom in Google Classroom. My student, nobody's looking at them. So what are they doing? They're fiddling with the gadgets, and children are much ahead with us, from us. They're much ahead. So they're fiddling with the gadgets. They are playing around with the sound. Okay. Sometimes very easy. They're saying we don't have internet connectivity. So how will you track them? So it is the job of the special educator, to do that coordination and working. And if that goes well, you can work. Then you can have an absolute inclusive classroom setting.
Wonderful views. Just a quick question we have. Mr. Preem Anand is asking, can we consider the long time dropout as a special child? I think it's a,
Okay, long time dropout for what? Okay, so it was because you couldn't manage all the 10 subjects that was running for you? Is the reason you dropped out? So if you dropped out for that reason also, we need to understand the background of the child. We need to understand what was the reason for such dropout. We need to have a psych-ed assessment done for the child, and then only we come to the conclusion that maybe the child has some reason for which he could not do the 10 subjects. But then we can tailor make, right? We can always tailor made and customize the need, so that the child at the end of the day can do something for his or her life to the best of his or her capacity. So
true.
special education also involves customization of individualizing the educational need for the child. But yeah, so it depends upon what exactly is the dropout, the reason behind it, that we have to know.
Right. As you know that this reminds me of my personal experience. As you know that Asian College of Teachers are always arranging a 5 days kind of a workshop for special education. So we have our own panel of experts which are brought along in the classes. 5 days of training workshop is being done. So I just faced a similar kind of a thing which you told, that when we are trying to get in a kind of a internship, or we are making a kind of an observation, going to a specific school, it is difficult because even the parents won't allow outsiders, because you understand special children are something which has to be very closed, and there is a matter of sensitivity more than the learning part. So we have to take a special permission. So I think what you rightly pointed out, do you think that in this case, not only with the students, but the parents also need to be educated, if not on the theoretical part? Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. And not only that, two, three things all the parents should be educated. A is that it's you have to understand that if your child also has some kind of a learning difficulty, and if your friend's child also have a learning difficulty, that does not mean that your friend's child X and your child Y will have the same level of difficulty. Okay,
Absolutely.
so
Very
my
true.
friend's child X went to Kumon and he now knows maths. But that doesn't mean that if I send my child to Kumon, he or she will do maths full. No, never. And second is that parents should be well aware that special education is not a disease. It's never a disease. So I have come
Hmm.
across questions from parents asking, okay, so I have done the psychic assessment. I have a special educator who is teaching my children. So when my child will start reading and writing all by himself and all well? No, it doesn't happen that way. Please don't treat it as a disease. It's just a learning difficulty, and we special educators are supporting your child to help overcome the learning difficulty. But these difficulties are lifelong. Um, Please don't go with the notions that this medicine will work, that medicine will work. Please don't do it. Rather, help him or her learn comfortably, work on the mental health. Okay, special educators should also, as a part of their training, should be well trained about the mental health of the child and also the teacher's well-being. We have to look at both the areas. Okay, and yeah, that's how it should be worked. It's not a disease, so never try to take it as a disease. So yes, parents training is a must.
A very good point. I would request Mrs. Banji has raised a very pertinent thing that it is not a disease, and we need to remember. I would address the entire audience to listen to this particular. It is not a disease, and it is not a medicine which is going to get it
No,
clear. Laura
absolutely.
Sinka has got a very pertinent question, which I would like to quickly take on. What key challenges do teachers face when teaching children with special needs, and how do they overcome them? Your views, Ms. Banji.
Yes. So the key challenge that the teachers face is again, Shaunak, we have to go back to that same question, is how much they're well qualified and they understand special education, right? So how much they're exposed to that whole spectrum of special education. What are the different special education? What are the different intellectual disabilities? What are the different physical disabilities? They should know that. Because until unless they know this platform well, they cannot usually connect to the need of the child. Okay, so the key challenge is, I would say, that what is the course that you are doing, what is the workshop or what is the training that you have been given to be a special educator. So you should be very selective, and you should know, what is the course, the module, what is your learning, number A. And number B is, we have to understand that these children are different in their learning capacity, not by their physical, growth or any other tantrums of a child or a teenager. They're same, okay, but then they have a different need when it comes to learning. So, how much you are well equipped with the knowledge of these teaching method, and the the biggest thing, the biggest strength of the special educator should be patience. You have to have unfold infinite amount of patience to understand what with them.
I
That's it.
got it. So I think Laura has got her answer right. We have got a quick question, very pertinent, because this question was, I think it has been brought up. Anushri is asking, if I'm a regular school teacher, will it be good for me to have knowledge about special education? I think I was about to ask you a question that this normal people or the normal teachers need to have, and what would be the level? So will it be good for having the knowledge?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. You should have a knowledge of special education because you are working in an inclusive classroom. You have 20 different children with 20 different needs. Until unless you, as a teacher, know the learning style or the learning style of your children, you cannot connect them with your teaching style. A learning outcome only happens when the teaching style and the learning style interconnects. Then only you can
Absolutely.
understand your child, understand and be the successful teacher. Okay, so you need to have a knowledge of special education, and I think it's great if you join and you take a course with it. There is nothing wrong, and we all are learning. There is no end to learning, so you should do it. You should have that knowledge.
Thank you for showing this slide, because I think what you're trying to point out is that special education, which we from Asian College also feel, that it is not only important for me, I want to become a special educator, have a specific goal. No. For
No.
every single individual, every school teacher needs to be aware about the degree of abnormality, the degree of disability, and then it can be routed to the specific person.
Right.
We have
We all should have knowledge. We all
Yes.
should.
Padma has got a pertinent question asking, how can we support a dyslexic child in virtual classes?
Excellent question, Padma. A child with dyslexia, although has reading difficulty, there are multiple technologies which are used in abroad. I mean, used abroad. And right now, we as a company, we have many children who have learning difficulties, and we are helping them with the technological platform. If you want to try, you can also try. It's not necessary that your child has to read verbally. Your child can also read orally. So use speech to text, text to speech softwares, use audible books, use audio methods. It's all about learning, and learning is nowhere written in the world that learning always has to be only in the pen and paper method or only reading from a book. Use mind mapping, use note taking, use scaffolding, use chunk method. There are various ways where you can help your child, and definitely there are loads of manipulatives that you can use, and yeah, you can help your child to learn.
Absolutely wonderful. We have a quick question coming from Michelle. She's asking that what is IEP, Individualized Educational Plan?
Yes, I think as a special education, and Shaunak, your company is also running this course, right? You have multiple course of special education needs, and you are also teaching your student what is IEP. I mean, your teacher students. So IEP is individualized education plan, which is tailor made across the curriculum, okay, for the child to learn. Simple example, Shaunak. Today, if I tell you to learn French, okay, will you be able to do? And say suppose you have a difficulty in reading. Okay, somewhere your brain cannot process reading. Okay, but you have learned language English. You have learned one language English, and today in your school I tell you no, English is not enough. You have to have a compulsory second language. Okay, and you need to learn French. So from your perspective, is it easy for you to do French? Remember at the back of your mind that you have a learning difficulty. You have difficulty in processing language. So, do you think French would be a good choice for you? No. So, a special educator works with the curriculum and prepares an individualized learning plan, creating a short term goal and making a long term goal. In the short term goal, we start introducing the subject, working on the strength of the child, and slowly we take it more to the higher order thinking skill. So what I would do if I am a special educator, of course I have to talk to your school, whoever is the curriculum provider, and I would look at your board, whether it's an ICSE, CBSE, IB, IG, and I would look for the accommodations, that whether I can drop the second language. I would drop French for you, Shamana, and rather you are very good in maths, so I will use that second language period, taking you out in the library and giving you one more maths lesson because that's your strength and I want to work on your strength. So this is what individualized education plan is. Tailor making the curriculum fitting to the child's need.
Right. So we got another question, I think, which is very pertinent in this discussion. Sudarshan is asking if we are taking about, I think, if you're talking about an inclusive classroom, our subject is inclusive classroom. So its identification equally is important to provide the solution.
Absolutely, definitely. Identification is the key. And for that reason, again, I said any teacher should have their, supporting course of special education needs done. Because as a teacher, if I do not know my student well, if I don't identify my student's need, how will I match my teaching style to their child's learning style? Okay, so I have to identify, and that's why special education shouldn't be taken as just okay. If I want to join that profession, I'll be doing the course. I think it should be done by everyone. Everyone, even parents should do it to better understand their child.
Absolutely. I think what you talked about that, say, suppose that I have a problem in terms of understanding language, we often come across with this term which is called disability. So, if I may ask you this question, that if you can just cite an example to let us explain between learning disability and learning difficulties. Like, what
Okay.
would be the line of difference or the difference in that?
Right. Looking at the current acts, the right to education and the universal, I mean, and the legal framework of Department of Education. Since our company is based on UK, I can talk about that. But I can also talk about education policies running in different other countries, in Asian countries also. We do not use the word disability anymore. It's nothing a disability. We would rather like to use the word challenges. And if we at all use the word disability, we will use it with as intellectual disability. Okay. So
Okay.
it is no more a disability. It's rather we call it challenges. And difficulty, yes. So when I'm saying learning difficulty, it is just one branch of the whole of special education needs. Okay, so I may be having learning difficulty. Learning difficulty, when I say, it could be because of my short term memory processing, it could be because I have a reading challenge. I cannot process the words, you know. For me, the words are all jumping away. So they are floating in the air. I cannot read it together. That's a learning difficulty. And it's just a part of special education. It's not the whole special education. And but rather uh, the other that you said, it should be said as learning challenges. So when I say learning challenges, I could be a child, I have attention deficit and hence I cannot learn. That's a learning challenge. I have a learning difficulty, hence I cannot learn. That's again a learning challenge. I have visual impairment, I cannot learn. That's a challenge. So we would rather right now use the term challenge rather than disability. And these are not disabilities, it's just a challenge, right? And it's not important that everybody has to come first. Somebody has to come last also. And trust me, the last are the best business
Yes.
entrepreneurs. Isn't it?
I
Backbenchers do the best
True.
in their life.
I remember with this regard, just a quick recap. Like, if the audience might have heard the famous mathematician called Leonard Euler. Euler used to work with one eye, and when he was asked that, like, how do you do this great mathematical calculations with one eye? He replied that it is, I have got one eye, so it is less of a disturbance. I can concentrate only one, because with two eyes there would be more differences. So when we are talking about this, you told rightly that it's an intellectual disability. It is not. It is just something that we need to overcome. So these kind of, I would say, sensitive issues comes across in a kind of a frame of rule. So I would just request if you can educate our audience that in the international market for special education, if I take, are there specific rules that we need to know or aware or abide by those rules?
Yes, education for all, right to learning. Okay, and when I say right to learning, it should be with the best practices. Okay, it's not that okay, right to learning today, just teaching something and just let it go. No, with the best practices, and when I say best practices, that means the right to confidentiality of the child. Okay, the right to the child's mental well-being. Okay, the right to accommodations. I'm a child with attention issues. I'm not interested in learning 14 subjects. It's okay, no problem. You don't have to learn 14 subjects. Rather, tailor made the subject so that children with attention issues, they are great with, for example, I'm just using an example, they're great with anything which is reasoning skills, analytical skills, okay? But you tell them to study history, they will run away. Because history is boring, sitting and reading. They don't have that sitting tolerance. How do you expect them to sit and read? Don't teach history. It's not needed. Rather, work on those areas where they can really make a difference. Okay, so this is the best practice we are talking about, and of course, in special education abroad, it has moved up. Uh, you know, we are using different kind of I would say accommodations, giving structured breaks within examination, giving different devices to write. As I said, I gave an example of speech to text and text to speech softwares. There would be scribes, there would be computer based work. The syllabus can be differentiated, color overlays. There are multiple, and I think. we are working as a country, as this country, what I saw, staying back here for the last 1 year and working with schools here on the special education. Um, we are kind of slowly working towards it. But yes, there are many provisions. So you have to, support the child with these multiple provisions, looking at what best suit your child. That's it. That's it.
We are approaching close to our time, so just two quick questions to you, Ms. Banerjee. First is that do every special educator need to have a license? And what is this qualification if somebody wants to become a therapist?
So, license, it is a very much, I would say, a legal framework, and it depends from country to country. Okay, but then there is no as such license of one particular license that will work for all. It is what qualification you are, whether you're doing a diploma course or a certification course, or you're doing a master's or a bachelor's, or you're doing a research, that's important. And second is if it's a therapy based, then you have to have again a specified qualification for therapy. Okay, so there the occupational therapists need to have a qualification, a diploma or
Yes.
certification on that part. Similarly, a
Psychology,
CBT.
psychology is required. You suggest that any knowledge of psychology would be an added advantage regarding
It
this?
is, it is an added advantage, but it is not a must.
Okay, that's wonderful. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. So I would just quickly like to summarize that it has been a great session with Ms. Banerjee. So we need to work in tandem. So the school teachers, along with the special educators, and that only is the remedy in which we can think for a better future. Qualification is important because without a qualification, and it should not be an option that people would just, as you rightly pointed out, sitting and thinking that let us do a special education. It is not. It is a kind of an intellectual disability. It is no deformity, and there is no specific tool in learning that. Asian College of Teachers is doing a program which is called VOLT, and we are trying to focus more on virtual online learning methods of teaching, pedagogies that we use, as well as mobile learning. So this has been a wonderful session from Asian College of Teachers. We would like to thank Ms. Banerjee for joining live from your place. Thank you very much for educating us. The audience must have been enriched with your knowledge. And thank you very much for joining with us and giving us all the answers to the questions. This is Thomas from Asian College of Teachers, wishing you all stay happy, stay well, and very goodbye. And again, a heartfelt thank you to Mr. Banerjee for joining us. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you, Shauna. Thank you.